Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live, finally. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, then there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below this video. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Neil, Arwin, Brian's Logic, Sleeping Warrior, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Hello, hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hooray, we're actually live this time. So for those of you who watched the pre-show, you've got 3 intros out of me, which is great. I'm sure you all love a show packed with intros. There we go. Any evidence?
You really don't read that? You have that off the top of your head every time?
Yes, I'm a trained actor. I can remember a few lines without too much difficulty. Didn't have to script it though. I just made it up on the spot one day. Anyway,
you got to change it as well. You can't say that if you are rejected, do not rejoin on stock accounts, as you will be warmly welcome back. Nobody can. You can't be thingied anymore, can you? You can't be kicked or porn bombed or anything like that. You need a new line.
No, I can. People from Discord still can get kicked out. I kick them to different rooms. I just don't ban them from Discord. I know what you're saying. You can't ban people. No, that's why they can come back the following day. But I do kick people out on very rare occasions. You know, when they just can't stop because they've been triggered so much that they can't stop interrupting the conclusion. But anyway, you can vouch for it, actually. Anthony was sat next to me yesterday while I was doing the show, so he saw me doing intros, outros. There's no scripts here. I'm sat in a chair that doesn't even have a desk. So there's nothing in front of me to put a script on.
It was funny. Nathan said to me, sit in that chair there. So I sits in the chair and my key fell out my pocket at the same time. And I thought it was the mouse that fell off the worktop that he was working on. And I'm looking around for this mouse that I thought had knocked on the floor. Saw my key, didn't think it was the key I was looking for. I'm looking for his mouse. I said, Nathan, I'm sorry, I've knocked off your mouse somewhere and I can't find it anywhere. We're both looking for a mouse that didn't even exist. It was on the side.
It's during a live show, I might add. It seems like a story. So what, you know, knocked a mouse over while I'm showing him what the hot seat's like. So I'm like, here you go, the show's live, sit there, you can see what it's like, there's the buttons, there's the massive screens, I'm going to go and make you a coffee. I come back and he's like, I've lost your mouse. I'm like, what, are you joking? I'm supposed to be running a live show.
It hadn't even fallen off. It was my key that had fallen out of my pocket and it felt like it was the mouse. It was funny.
That's funny.
Right, let's do some housekeeping.
There on our knees looking for this mouse that didn't even exist. Like, right,
Mice aside, we are still definitely doing a live show about the nature of reality, and let's be honest, the majority of the Western world are under the misapprehension that they're on a sphere flying through a vacuum. So we'll do a bit of housekeeping, and then we'll do some.
I don't think they mind if we make a mouse around at the beginning, though.
There is a mouse in space, though. They got it on video.
Let's start there then. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Yes.
NASA
have released their I'm not sure what it's called, but their helicopter video. Have you seen it on Mars?
Yeah, I saw a picture of it. Yes.
Oh man, it's the worst quality of evidence you've ever seen. Right, bear in mind this is NASA, right? If it was actually flat earthers trying to do something, right? Imagine like a horseshoe-shaped room, a horseshoe-shaped table and chairs with a load of people all around it. They're all watching a projector screen with a HD like imagery on it of this helicopter that's supposed to be on Mars. And all they do is they rise it up a little bit, and then they bring it back down again. It lands, and they're all sat there doing like fist bumps and you know all the camaraderie stuff. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, if anybody believes this, they'll believe bloody anything. It's outrageously fake, but they look at it and think that it's real. They're looking at literally what looks like a toy helicopter thing. They believe it's on Mars, and they're watching it on a screen, and they think that that's real. And I'm like, oh my God, it's outrageous.
It's shifted to that. Back in the day when I was younger and I would watch those space things from NASA, they never did this kind of high fives, the way they do it now. And now it's so scripted that they're erupting out of their chairs at the same time. And it's the euphoria that gets you to think that what they're showing is real. It's almost like those comedy shows with the fake laugh tracks.
I actually think now that the people that are in the videos that are doing all the fist pumps and all that, you know, the high fives and all that overly exuberant like camaraderie stuff, I actually think it's people like Red Rhetoric, Slice Barcane, all the trolls, and they're trolling us as well as the flat earth, the ball earthers. I honestly think it.
I think they're genuinely excited. I think they really believe what they're doing.
No, they're trolling the ball earthers. Ranty will be in there one day. He'll be on there cheering them all on.
I said let's not, and you broke the law. I knew it.
He wasn't.
Yes.
He wasn't here.
Yeah,
He wasn't here yet.
Anyway,
He was
Oh, I can claim
introduced.
exemption.
Yes, he was.
this has got an
No, I
inherent
can claim
problem. Hold on,
exemption.
guys.
I
Hold
missed it.
hold on. This has got an inherent problem, and I don't want it to go unaddressed. So, if you argue from the perspective that Anthony has now, don't get me wrong, we're all friends here and we all know the position, but obviously we've still got a live audience, hence I'm doing this. You are into arguing about how real or not real the helicopter is when it lands on Mars, when in reality the entire notion that we have this area that's a vacuum violates the second law of thermodynamics. Gas expands into any volume that it has available to it, and the gas we're breathing is a high pressure gas that would expand into that space if space was real. So therefore they're claiming to travel to Mars through a fake medium of a vacuum. Now the sky is not a vacuum because we'd all be dead. The gas we breathe would fill that space, and it doesn't. Therefore they're operating this claim in a fake place. That's the argument, as opposed to whether or not in a very low pressure environment after going through a vacuum you suddenly arrive at some pressure that's just hanging around. Yeah, nonsense.
You misunderstood. Your question was, is there any evidence of gas pressure without a container? And I've cited that NASA has produced a video of a helicopter on Mars rising and falling, and that is in a vacuum. And that's gas pressure without a container, because Mars is not contained.
You realise that that's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, though.
Yeah, but you do realise this is NASA's evidence, though, right? You're not going to be able to dismiss that flippantly.
I can not
I have a
dismiss it
question.
flippantly. It's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics.
No, it's NASA, man. It's NASA. You can't just say like, it's NASA. Are you trying to say that they're lying?
Yes, that's definitely what I'm saying. NASA are lying. They claim to lie.
I have a question. I have a question.
Ah,
What was
ik moet
actually
roemen.
Dude,
Truth be told, can you pop yourself on mute?
I have a question. What was actually filming the helicopter from Sidon? Anybody ask themselves that?
Hold on. So we're going to discuss how they acquired the footage from Narnia, the fake place called space that violates the second law of thermodynamics, would all be dead if it existed. We're going to discuss how they got the photography from the fake place that doesn't exist. Let's discuss how the gas lamp in Narnia works with time dilation.
I
shall
agree
we?
with Nathan.
No, not how. I'm just wondering what is actually supposed to be filming it.
It's in a fake place. Who cares?
Yes, and in this fake place, what was actually supposed to be filming it?
Any ballers want to answer how, in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum that doesn't exist, how they're filming? They're not. Any more on space?
What was filming it?
A computer here on Earth made it, Arwin. What do you want?
I
That's what
just
he
want to
wanted.
know if that was actually just like, oh, there's just a camera there. It's just like in the movies. It's just like, don't ask about it.
Okay.
The rover.
Did
filmed
they
the
send a
helicopter.
helicopter down, or did they also send down a special robot with a camera just to relay the flight?
Okay, I can
Because
guess.
that's
I'll
not
give you an
being
answer.
addressed.
I can answer. I will. Now, I'm making this assumption based on the years and years I used to watch a YouTube channel called Science at NASA, their channel. And whenever they would present data like this, they even presented the information about this particular launch many years ago in terms of what they're doing. Obviously, they plan them years in advance. And they were capable of showing us the landing before it was even developed, because they just create a CGI rendering and say artist's impression or visualization, or they've got a whole load of other terms that they strap on. Now, in this instance, obviously they're not going to leave such a gaping plot hole that they've got live footage from the sister ship they didn't mention that travelled alongside to film it land. Now, they're not going to claim that. They're just going to show artist's impressions, CGI, and it will disclaim that it is CGI. It always did, it always will. But they're saying, well, obviously we can't send 2 ships just to film it, so we just have to give you an impression. In other words, they've got total immunity when it comes to their lie, because they've got plausible deniability. No, we can't film it, you, but how would we do that unless we sent 2 ships? That's just an absurd waste of money. Here's an artist's impression. And here's the footage from the camera, first person, in crapovision.
So they're making shit
So
up.
they say it's an artist impression. It's not actually footage.
That's correct.
Ha! Okay, well, there you go. Then that's an answer. It's
Yeah,
just a parlor trick.
Yeah, it used to leave me with an incredibly hollow feeling prior to Flat Earth. So it was one of the things I used to do to send me to sleep, I've got to be honest. But before I go to sleep, I'll watch a bit of science at NASA. And you'd be, like I was a globehead at the time, I was interested in this stuff. And you'd be like, full of wonderment, while the person in the office told you about what they were going to do, or had done. And then they showed you with artist impressions. Now, don't get me wrong, I knew that they couldn't potentially show that. Obviously, like I say, they didn't leave a glaring plot hole. But by the same token, you still had the same empty, hollow feeling that they hadn't showed you a damn thing, because they hadn't. But they had a reason not to.
All right, well, it would also explain why that bug flew away as soon as the helicopter started jumping.
They're not
Right?
on Mars.
Because it's just an artist impression. So now it doesn't matter anymore because it's literally somebody just trying to enact the idea of what it looks like in their back garden.
There is a spin-off point from this, though, because it said on the radio when I heard it being announced, it said that NASA have set another Guinness World Record for providing the first powered flight on an extraterrestrial planet, or words to that effect. And I thought, aren't Guinness World Book of Records, aren't they meant to validate and verify claims like this?
That's a good
How
point.
would they actually do that?
That's a good point. You might want to inquire. I know that, for example, you get the Hennessy, I think it was, that did a speed run, and it wasn't validated by Guinness, so it didn't stand, and they had to look into how it was done, and there were some errors in the footage, and they had to run it again, and all these things. And Guinness wouldn't look at it in the slightest, because it didn't have their stamp of approval, all of their verified people there to check all the timings, check all the equipment, and validate it. Yet when it comes to NASA, oh, well, yeah, they've done it.
So we need somebody on our side to troll Guinness World Records and find out how they validated and verified that this did take place. That'd be a really interesting video. Mark Sargent, if you're listening.
Yeah, if someone wants to get in touch with Guinness and say, hi, we're quite interested in how this occurred, given that it violates the second law of thermodynamics, but also how did you verify it, regardless of their claim being in violation of a natural law? How did you verify this?
And then we could claim a debunk, because if they removed it because it wasn't validated, it wasn't verifiable, then we could actually then legitimately claim that we've debunked Guinness World Book of Records.
No, we haven't, not Guinness. If Guinness were reasonable enough to say, you're right, we haven't actually validated this, like we would stringently do with absolutely anything else we put in our book, so we'll take it out. We'd say, yeah, what we have proven is that you cannot prove your claims of space. Now, I already know that it stands in violation of natural law. That's why it'd be the first thing I opened with. You realise you're validating something that violates natural law, right?
I'm going to try and get the exact wording that I heard on it. It was something along them lines. I'm going to see if I can find out. Yeah, it says NASA's Mars helicopter in first powered flight. It's something to do with that. We need to get Mark Sargent on the task. He's up for stuff like this.
I just want to say that Arwen needs to take it easy on NASA because they're just working out the bugs on the fly.
Look, I'd say it one more time because I opened it with Anthony, right? The idea is that if you've got a terrible CGI NASA rendering or a terrible claim from NASA or a spaceman in a car going through, it doesn't matter what. The idea is that we will argue about how real or fake the footage taken in a place that doesn't exist is. Now, we're not going to argue about the place that doesn't exist. We're just going to argue about how real or fake the footage is. So when I first came to this subject, there was a ton, and still is, of NASA debunkers. Now, I'm not decrying what they do. More power to you. Some of the stuff is incredibly amusing. However, that's the idea. Let's argue about whether or not it's fake or real. I'm now going to ask Anthony to go through his story about the ISS and his encounter with Red Rhetoric in the first instance. Now, Anthony, I'll preface this, wasn't arguing about whether or not it's capable to have a vessel with men in a fake place. He argued about whether or not it was capable to get the imagery, right, Anthony, of the ISS?
Of course.
The words nuns and vagina immediately spring to mind. Moving on. Any evidence?
That could have been awesome.
Bloody hell, Anthony.
That never so.
At least it was funny.
Can I just say one little thing about that car? Can I say one little thing about that car in space?
Go ahead.
When they show you the car in the little planetarium it starts out on, and it's on its platform on an angle, it never leaves there. They just turn it on. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, what,
When they show you
fakery
that
of
car,
star
they
matches?
show you.
It's subpar. Very subpar. Yes, it's obviously very fake. And most globe heads will say that also. When you tell them that that's supposed to be something they're believing in, that that's their space that they think is real, they'll laugh at you and demand that you prove it's real.
Okay.
Where were the stars?
I'll never forget telling people over a dinner table, saying to my family, check out this, and showing them Starman. They're all having a good laugh. And they're like, yeah, but obviously that's not pretending to be reality, is it now? I'm like, yeah, it is, yeah. No, it's not. Prove that that's actually a claim of reality. Then you go to the site and go, here you go, here's SpaceX's claim. And then their faces drop because they can't quite believe it. You're telling me that's claimed to be real? Yeah, it is, yeah. In fact, you know it's real because it looks so fake.
Yeah. It's like the Rachie with all the 5 zeros. She's like onto gravity at the minute with Einstein and Newton and whether it's a force or not a force and all that. And she's realized, she's worked it out, right? She's worked out that if you realize that gravity is not a force and you apply Einsteinian, which says that it's not a force, it's the effect of the curvature of space-time, it corners the ball earthers into arguing that the Earth accelerates up. Well, that makes them the flat earther that they decry us for being right, because we don't even say that the Earth accelerates up at 9.8 meters per second, but they end up arguing it. Rachel's just realized it, and she's like, now I get it. She's bouncing at the minute. She's loving it. It's great watching the likes of Sean Hawkins and all the drongos going onto her channel, jumping up and down, saying how, it's just glorious. So you're right. When they're forced into arguing their actual science, which they pinned on us ages ago with the Flat Earth Society, but it's actually their science that they're misrepresenting as ours. It's brilliant watching them just trip over their own feet. It's fantastic.
Yeah. She's got Mark Sargent's attention.
What's happening with Rachie there is the past couple of 2 videos have been about Einstein, and the last one was about how she was showing how Einstein's claim that motion is only relative to the observer is a little rubbish. That it doesn't matter whether there's a background or not a background. Something is in motion, it's in motion. And all the ballers are in there, and they're all Einstein experts. And it's like all she has to do, and I've been 1 or 2 comments with her, all she has to do is, and I'm sure she will, she doesn't need my help on this or anything like that. And I don't mean it that way. But she just, like all these Einstein experts, all you have to do is, okay, if you're pro Einstein, then it's gravity is not a force. Yep. Because all it is.
But the problem with that, of course, which she's now learning, is
all
that
the guys are in our chat. 1 second. All the guys who are in our chat who are trying to argue with her about Einstein all claim gravity is a force. So if they're going to argue about Einstein and try and argue against her with Einstein, then they have to just accept it's an effect. Sorry, go on.
They also have to accept that Earth's accelerating up at 9.8 meters per second, because that's what Einstein says, right? Now, this is not our position. That's Einstein's position that they've got to adopt if they start arguing in favor of Einstein, because if they accept that gravity is not a force and it's an effect, then they're applying Einstein, but that means that the Earth's accelerating up. So now Rachel's realized that. She sat there going, I get it. So it's like a double bluff. So they pin that argument that they don't like because it doesn't support their narrative. They pin that on us to make it look like we're stupid. And that's like, it's the same when Nathan points out that the dirty little secret that they get out, the thing that they protect the most, the assumption of R or the drop rate and all that, where's the edge? It's their worst argument. And Rachel's getting it. And I'm like, hallelujah, this is ace.
Exactly.
It's like watching a plant grow into like a big, you know, when plants open up, that's literally what I'm watching. It's brilliant.
But exactly, you've described perfectly the transition with their weakest argument, which is the horizon. Their horizon's a physical geometric sphere edge that obstructs things at a feet and inches value. Or to put it another way, it's an edge that boats are going over. Well, when you realise that the horizon's not a physical location, and it's not a sphere edge for boats to fall over, it suddenly makes a lot more sense why the controlled opposition narrative of the Flat Earth Society has literally got as their logo a picture of a disc with a boat falling off it, and is set to ridicule us over our non-assumption that boats are falling off the edge of a pancake, when they've got literal boats falling over the edge of their globe Earth, and maths to show it.
Well, they all have to become flat Earth society, or else. If they're going to argue for Einstein.
Yeah. 9.8 meters per second movement up of a pizza pie in a sky vacuum is the controlled up narrative from Flat Earth Society. So they've got gravity, they've got sky vacuum, they've got two key details that they specifically need in globe Earth and are absurd claims. Further to that, they've got a boat falling over an edge. And a globe Earth claim is that you can measure how much boats fall over the edge of the horizon, which is Earth curve. So it's all of their most absurd, most weak arguments used as arguments as straw men against us. Prove that boats fall over the edge of a pancake. Where's the edge of the flat Earth? Why are they asking us? Well, because they're simultaneously going to claim that boats fall over the edge of a globe, and you can calculate the feet and inches they're valued, are blocked by when they exclude the angular relationships of things getting smaller into the distance, until against the deck they have a limited enough angle for them to disappear bottom up. They'll call that effect Earth curve. They'll say the boat's gone over the edge.
Yeah. Just by way of comparison, the equal but alternative explanation that they love to hate is when they're trying to talk about Newtonian gravity to be a pull force, that we all know is not a pull force. That's their dirty little secret, because they know that Einstein's the current position, but they daren't accept it. So they always stick to Newton, always, right? Even though they know it's not, because they just can't accept that the Earth accelerates up. Well, that's their argument, not our argument, and that's why we get them to try and force them to accept Einstein, not because we think he's right, we think it's stupid. But once they do accept Einstein, try getting them to explain Newton's apple falling from the tree with Einsteinian gravitation. It becomes poetry. It's fantastic.
Yeah, because in his world, it's all relative. So the apple is in a state of just freedom, basically. And
well, no,
it comes up to meet it.
He says that the apple fails to conserve momentum with the Earth accelerating up, so it starts to lag behind. So it's not falling down; it's lagging behind the Earth's upwards acceleration. And we all know that's nonsense. We don't think the Earth's moving, but they pin that argument on us because they don't want to accept it themselves. That's the dirty little secret.
Yeah, much better to get us to defend the upward acceleration of a pancake in a sky vacuum as per the Flat Earth Society narrative than to defend their Einsteinian assumptions of pseudo-Ramonian force-based conceptions that have been reified into the world we don't live in, i.e. a four-dimensional world. Well, who cares about your four-dimensional bending of space-time causing the Earth to accelerate up towards the apple? It's absolutely ludicrous. Now, when we say it, it sounds it. But they would prefer that we're defending why that happens on our flat Earth model we don't hold up. Their straw man they've created to destroy. Just quick shout out to Godzilla, who says, "Round here, an honest glober will not be a glober for long. It's really amazing how few of us can be honest with ourselves." Thank you very much for the super chat, Godzilla.
And can I just, while Nathan's screen sharing, Brian, can I just point out that if the Earth is accelerating upwards at 9.8 meters per second, that debunks the globe. Because if England is accelerating upwards at 9.8 meters per second, but so is Australia, how does that work on a sphere? Because obviously it doesn't, does it? Because the Earth's not continuously getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that debunks the globe. It might be possible on a flat plane, but it's definitely not possible on a sphere, assuming that that is the true position.
Yeah, just for a moment, I just want to point out some stuff here to do with this current situation. Just the argument, not the people involved. Okay, this is the photograph at present that everyone's arguing over, and this is in line with what we're talking about. Okay, now the argument here, there's some details about it or whatever, right? If you can see here, they have 3 triangles drawn here. So they're doing everything, calculating distances and heights and all the rest of it, and angular sizes using triangles.
Hang on,
please. Hang on, right? But in their model, there is none of that.
Correct.
All, right? It's all Earth curve. There is no angular size change. There is no perspective. All that is hijacked, as Nathan, you very clearly defined many years ago. It's all hijacked of perspective. So all this stuff means absolutely nothing. They can't use triangles, right angle triangles on their globe. Doesn't work. They don't have a flat surface on the bottom of the triangle, and they can't use perspective because it's not part of their model.
I need to ask. Put them triangles back on screen and tell me who's done these. Where have these come from?
I'm not sure. This is from probably Cats or one of them. I have to. I don't know, but I know that they're all based around actual sizes. Not.
So, why is he not applying 7/6R? Because that's their calculations for their model.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Looks like he's trying to account for perspective.
Hold on, Anthony. Let's not worry about the 7/6R not being applied. Let's worry about why they're ascribing feet and inches value to things that are obviously getting smaller with distance. In the picture of this tower, it's in the near foreground. It's got a much bigger angular size. Why am I getting rumpused, Anthony? Please. It's got a much bigger angular size in the near foreground because it's closer. If you were right next to the tower, you'd have to lift up your head to see the top of it. But at this distance, you're looking at 90 degrees. Now, the further it gets away, the smaller it gets. But they ascribe feet and inches values only to ask you why a certain amount of feet and inches value's gone, even though that won't account for the fact that something that's 1,000,000 miles away can't be seen at all because it's too small. But they'll say, well, why is this tower in the near foreground bigger than it?
I don't think they're applying feet and inches, Nathan, there. I think they're applying the angular size, it looks like. It looks like he's calculating for A. Is that right?
Yeah, they're calculating, but they're using actual right angle triangles to do all this. So
Yeah,
they're using to calculate angular sizes.
You can't, because first of all, line B would be curved. And secondly, what they don't accommodate for is they assume that the angle ACB is 90 degrees, where if you travel with a 50 miles, you've got 50 times 0.014 to add on to that 90 degrees.
Exactly.
It's all rubbish maths. Fine on a flat earth, but, you know, none of this even fits into their model, the maths.
I was going to suggest that...
Hang on, Anthony. Hey, Nathan, someone's mic is open. I'm hearing someone talking while everyone's talking.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I was going to suggest that this is part of the reason why the conversation falls down, because people like, if this is from Cats, people like Cats that are doing the maths here is doing something, and there could be stuff lost in translation here. However, I did see an interview that Cats gave his daughter the other day where he was asking her about scientific method, and he completely fluffed it. Now, bear in mind, he's a physics teacher, and he should be teaching his daughter scientific method. He allowed his daughter to incorrectly identify the independent variable, and failed to correct her, and left his own daughter thinking that she got the independent variable correct, and that there are other people that didn't understand this. And she waltzed off into the night as though it was like she's got it sorted. She's an intelligent ball earther kind of thing. She was being encouraged to ridicule people that realized that what she was doing was wrong. She didn't even realize that she got the independent variable wrong. So when it comes to applying the maths here, I'm not even sure we should even look at the maths, because the teacher that's teaching the scientific method to kids gets that wrong, and then is now doing stuff that's not his own science in his own 7/6R to account for this observation. I'm not really sure that Katz will be the right guy to explain the maths here.
Well, if they're
Wow.
saying, hold on,
And they accuse us of, you know what?
sorry, you're saying
That's
they
what
are
I'm saying.
using angular sizes because they can't use angular sizes in their mathematics.
It looks like he is doing. It looks like he's calculating for A there. It looks like he's got angle A, angle B.
Back calculate into globe maths because you cannot use angular sizes in globe maths.
Maybe he's trying to argue this on a flat plane then.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is what they're basically doing is they're trying to use the angular sizes against each other, as in the tower's angular size is way bigger than the angular size of the mountains, something bizarre like that. And they're just claiming a globe without any actual evidence of a globe. It's just a claim of a globe.
You see, when they're doing calculations of the angular size of the tower compared to the angular size of the mountains in the background, they're assuming no atmosphere. But when they do the 7/6R, the atmosphere becomes their infinitely variable correction for anything that doesn't support their model. But when they're calculating it for us, they just completely forget about that argument. Well, that works both ways, guys. If you're going to use the infinitely variable refraction, we can use the same thing too.
Hold on. Where is the calculations for the globe Earth in this?
That's what we've been trying to point out, Nathan. There is none.
The only ones that are here there is up here, Nathan, where they're giving an eyesight level distance to the object, which here on this one would be Blackpool Tower is 12.2 miles. And distance to the horizon, that'd be their geometric horizon, be 5.35 miles. Now, I'm not sure if that's the geometric with refraction or not, with 7/6R added or not, but that's what they have there. And they have the same down here with distance to the mountain, which is 50.6 miles. The mountains are 50 miles.
Hang on a sec.
I'm still unclear. Hold on, Anthony.
The distance to the horizon.
Still unclear. Where does this make an assertion that it proves or disproves anything?
Well, there isn't. You see, this is the thing. There's no. They're just claiming, just blind claim. There's no.
Just humor me a sec. Show me where the distance to horizon at 5.35 miles. Go back to the picture and show me where that 5.35 miles should be, because it looks to me like we're seeing the base of all of the stuff, and that horizon is way further than 5
Anthony,
miles away.
Stop it, please. You keep getting into... Okay, so we're assuming this maths proves a sphere. Let's debunk the horizon and where it... Go back to the maths. Where and how is this proving a sphere Earth?
It's not.
Only if you assume the horizon is a sphere edge.
Well, I'm not doing that. Anthony's doing it for me.
There's no
constantly.
horizon assumption. The way they're trying to place the math, Nathan, is the differentials between the top of the tower and the top of the mountain. And I don't even think they're saying it fits a ball. They're saying it's not commensurate with the flat Earth. That's all they're saying. So the only place that they would say curvature exists is in the differential between the observed height of the mountain and the tower.
But the observed height... hold on. Oh, God. This is really difficult. The difference in the observed height of the tower and the observed height of the mountain is asserted to prove a spherical surface by way of a feet and inches value differential based on the drop.
I know what's happening here, Nathan.
Yes.
Hold on,
I know what's
Brian.
happening here.
Hold on.
Okay.
One at a time, please. So, their mathematics for a sphere Earth works in a particular way. It ascribes feet and inches values to targets. In this instance, the tower and the mountain would have a feet and inches value ascribed, and the differential between the two would be claimed to be the drop value of the mountain at a feet and inches value behind the tower at a feet and inches value. Now, what I'm seeing is angular sizes presented. Now, if you're saying that this is being presented to say that the angular sizes don't match with what? The angular size calculator for a flat Earth that we haven't presented? What straw man is this, if that's the case? But if it's not that, what is it proving? And I'm still unclear of what it's actually demonstrating.
I know what it is. Remember the effect I showed yesterday? And Flatside put the same effect in his most recent video, where something in the foreground that's of equal or higher height than the observer will cause the angle to change to a bigger object in the background. What they're doing is, here is for Blackpool Tower, and this is for the two, for the mountain, whatever else here. What they're doing is they're taking an angle from the observer to Blackpool Tower and doing a right angle triangle for angular size with that. Then they're taking Blackpool Tower and Blackpool out of it, and they're doing exactly the same thing for the mountain. But they're not including the fact that the angle changes because of the foreground being higher than the observer height. So they're not taking that into account. If what we saw yesterday, and I can show it again in a minute if you want, with the little demonstration, is that the foreground object changes your angle to the background object. Because
I got all that. Okay. I got all that. Why are they doing that? Why are they taking the angular sizes? Tell me why it's wrong. Just tell me why they're doing it. What function does it serve?
To try and debunk flat Earth.
Sorry, what flat Earth model presents how far or wide in angular size the mountain should be compared to this tower? Where is there a model that presents that as a claim we make?
There isn't one.
So it's a straw man.
Yeah, basically.
Go on, Adam.
Yeah, it's exactly that, Nathan. Brian's trying to give reasoning as to why the picture resolves as it does. I don't think that's relevant for us to give an explanation. They're trying to demonstrate Earth curve. I don't see any in that picture. I don't see any point of the Earth curving. They're telling me that the way in which they're demonstrating the Earth is curved is in this perspective picture, that the top of the tower is higher than the top of the mountains. And based on trigonometry, that shouldn't be the case on a flat Earth. That is what I understand their claim to be, which for me isn't worth dealing with.
I just want to point something out here. It looks like the distance to the tower is 12.2 miles and the distance to the mountains is 50. I remember a certain observation from like basically the puddle on a beach, and it was like about less than 10 centimeters above the actual water level. From it was somewhere in Blackpool to Barrow, and you could see the town hall in Barrow, and I think that was about 12 miles. It might have even been 19 miles. I forget the distance, but there was zero curvature. I'm just wondering how that would be explained, given the distances are almost identical and the claim of geometric drop is supposed to be there. It's like, does that not apply to the things in the foreground, the 12-mile Barrow town hall thing anymore? Is that gone out the window?
It says on their maps there, Tony, I talk in relation to that. The first part is in respect to the tower. Obscured part of object, 31 feet. They make the statement, should not expect the tower to be hidden, to the top of the tower to be hidden. But they're saying that the bottom 31 feet of Blackpool Tower is hidden. That doesn't appear to be the case visually in that picture. I can see from the top of the tower to the bottom to the shore. It's squishy, but none of it's hidden, but there is compression, but none of it's hidden, which would be, they're part of a globe claim. In that picture, the first 31 foot of Blackpool Tower should be obscured by Earth curvature, is what they're saying. It's not.
But can we go back to a higher quality picture of the tower, please, Brian?
Yeah, 1 second. I just want to state, just before we do, Anthony, that the reason I am giving an explanation showing the effect for what causes this is not for, obviously, the people on the panel. It's for all the people out there who are so easily discouraged, who are a bit more naive. That's why I'm doing it. To give them something to go, oh, hang on, it's just this thing. That's why I'm doing it. You know, do you want me to zoom in anywhere, Anthony? Do you want me to
No, I just want to look. Can you see on the far left-hand side of the image there?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that looks like it's bending back on itself like Pontchartrain does? You know where the shoreline of the pier is. It looks like the Earth curve that they would claim is curve is the refractive effects that we call that layer of reflection, dirty air or ether band or whatever you want to call it. That mirroring looks like it's present in the picture, and it looks like we're seeing again. It looks like it's right down to the promenade. Therefore, we're not seeing any curvature, just a little bit of reflection caused by, I don't know what causes it, but where's the Earth curve? Because there doesn't appear to be any there.
Well, what I would say is that this is not the full photograph. I'm pretty sure this is only part of the photograph. It was the full photograph I was looking for. I haven't got a hold of that yet. And it shows a bigger expanse. And when you see the full photograph, it doesn't strike in the same way, let's just say.
I put that in the live stream for you. Full photograph.
There'd have to be a direct compare and contrast exercise between the author of the picture compared to the Barrow observation, because it's in the same area, it's looking in the same direction, north. I think they're about similar distances, and one of them's flat as a pancake. The other one is claimed that there's geometric drop. Really? Let's compare and contrast.
Well, there's not. See, the problem, they want us to argue about why the mountains is this and why the tower is that. The horizon is not geometric. And that's what trying to get us away from.
Yep.
Yeah, Black Swan still applies.
Exactly. Black Swan, I was about to get to that because Anthony brought it up, right, where Anthony described there being a mirage, this fold line, as it sometimes gets described. Is that supposed to be Earth curve? Because it looks like a mirage effect. Why would it be that every time there's claimed to be a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, it ends up being a refractive effect? Oh, could it be because it's down to a limited angle? Could it be because it's down to the weather? Could it be down to an optical effect? Could it be down to a transition of heat to cold over a watery surface? Could it be down to 1,000,001 other things that haven't been factored into their mathematics? Yeah, but we're not claiming it. There is, however, a positive assertion that this effect is called Earth curve, and that effect doesn't use angular size. So my question to Conspiracy Cats, and if it's Ranty Flat Earth making this claim, is why would it be the case that when you're trying to debunk a claim we don't make as a straw man about a model we haven't presented of a flat Earth that does definitely exclude 90% of the variables that occur that we've already listed, most of them have been listed by Ranty himself. So you're going to ignore all of those factors to make your straw man argument. And yet the straw man argument is inclusive of angular size reduction at distance that isn't included when you make the assertion that the Earth's a sphere. So why would it be the case that your straw man uses angular size, but your globe Earth claim doesn't? Well, I'll tell you why. Because their globe Earth claim has hijacked the effect of perspective and called it Earth curve. So they won't be able to transition back to applying angular size reduction at distance and a claim that there's drop, because one is a hijacking of the other. Perspective is Earth curve.
Can I just point out quickly, I've just done really quick calcs for what they should have done for their calculations. 20 feet observer height, 50 miles observation for the mountains in the background. The target hidden height on their model should be 1,321 feet. From memory, I think those mountains are all about 2,000 feet tall because we don't have anything bigger than 2,000 feet in England. So they're all about 2,000 feet. 1,300 feet of the mountains should be below the Earth geometric curve, right? It looks to me that we are seeing pretty much all of those mountains. Maybe the stuff that's blocked out by the foreground stuff is going to be blocking out the bases of them. But where's the geometric drop that is being claimed when it's supposed to be obscured by, well, more than half of it? It seems to me like we're seeing all of it.
If you could see the full photograph that was dropped into Discord there a couple of minutes ago, if someone could get the full photograph and post it into Master B or maybe Nathan could share it, we'd see more of it.
Anthony's gone back to making the assertion in terms of where the geometric drop would be, but he's said the feet and inches value of the mountain's about 2,000. And yet, when debunking a straw man, the globe earthers are more than content to describe it with an angular size, getting smaller with distance, but no reference to a geometric drop. Well, no, because we're talking about your claim that uses... what? What claim on what model is making this assertion that ignores all other effects that have been detailed over the course of about 6 years? Yeah? The great big long list of things we say causes shit to shrink, get too small to see, or be obscured from bottom up, or obscured altogether depending on the weather conditions. That great big list is what you are now strawmanning us with, bearing in mind that your list only has Earth curve in it. And your Earth curve comes with a feet and inches value that won't change with distance. So let's see if you've now conceded, by way of conspiracy cats, that angular size is relevant. Shit shrinks, right? Hashtag shit shrinks. So if you're going to calculate it for a straw man against us, let's see you calculate it in Earth curve mathematics. See how far it goes out of whack when you start accounting for the fact that things get smaller with distance. They don't stay at 2,000 feet. Yeah? They do in your whole number mathematics that excludes perspective, but in reality the angular size that you're trying to debunk as a claim we don't make gets smaller. Why is that excluded from Earth curve mathematics then, cats? Why is it suddenly not your feet and inches values used when you're debunking a straw man? You're going to be transitioning back to them when you claim the Earth's a sphere again.
I've just had a quick look on what these mountains are, the heights of them. So one of the main ones, the one on the right-hand side, the bigger of the two on the right-hand side, Old Manor Coniston's got an elevation of 803 meters, right? And that's from sea level. But its prominence height, which is the height on the land it sits, which is what we see, is 416 meters, right? 416 meters is 1,364 feet. According to the Earth curve calculator, the prominence it should be completely gone by Earth curve. I mean, I've only done these really brief now, quick off the top of me, tip of my tongue kind of thing, but it appears based on what they're showing there that none of the mountains should be even visible based on the distances, the amount of geometric drop. None of them should be seen.
That is correct.
It's only a bit rough, but we can check this later. But 50 miles to that mountain, and the one on the right hand side is Old Manor Coniston. That's got an elevation height of 803 meters. That's from sea level. We can't see the sea level because whether it's flat or ball, you can't see that. You can only see the prominence. So the prominence is the bit that we're supposed to be seeing, right? 416 meters. Now, even if you go with 803 meters, let's just do that into conversion. 803 meters. It's 2,600 feet, and that's down to sea level. 2,600 and 1,600 of it's that hidden. There should only be 1,000 feet of it. Again, we're seeing way more than that. This is actually a flat Earth proof, guys, not a ball Earth proof. None of that mountain should be seen, as far as I can tell.
That's what I said yesterday. It's another black swan. It's not a white swan.
Oh dear. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, conspiracy cats.
Any more to add on this, everybody?
The last thing I'd say about it, sorry, I'll go after you.
Is that the same person, Baldy Cats and Conspiracy Cats? Are they the same person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The last thing I'd say on this is it's just another pathetic attempt at some kind of cloak and dagger stuff from the borders. That is actually a flat out proof, as every photograph is. It's just a case of them using pathetic tactics and coming up with nonsense about angular size and all the rest of it. And it's just basically what they do is they just make a claim of it has to be a globe then. Because when we calculated the angular sizes singularly of all these things and didn't add in particular effects that would change the angle of view, all these kind of things, we can then postulate that it's a globe. That's all that's going on there.
Seems like they have to explain photographs, and we don't. We see it, it's there. They have to explain them.
Tony?
Yes, sir.
Just a quickie. Just looking at that maths again, that you just figured me. I just went to Metabunk, took in the figures, looked at the geometric hidden, the geometric drop. Okay, so from 50 miles at 19 feet, then the geometric drop to the bottom of the mountain will be geometrically 1,707 feet below the base of the observer's feet, apparently. So that means the height of the mountain is 2,600. So that means you start doing your angular size reduction at distance on a ball using their model on 900 feet. Because that's all sticking out before you do your angular size. So it is a great flat Earth proof.
Exactly correct, Adam. So as soon as you start throwing in the angular size reduction at distance to the ball Earth maths, suddenly it's massively out of whack.
And what we're actually illustrating is depending on how you. This is why maths doesn't prove anything, because depending on how you do the maths and how you present your arguments, it's a sleight of hand. You can literally change a positive to a negative or a 6 to an 8, and people don't notice it because it's presented in a way that sounds plausible, but it's sleight of hand. They always fudge it in the maths. Always.
Cool.
What they're not doing is setting it up on a ball first so that the relative heights are represented on the ball, and how that then plays out so that the mountain, even though it's 2,000 foot high, the mountain, from where the observer is on a ball, you can only see the top 900 foot of it. And it's that's going to then be subject to your calculation with your straight bottom line, with your mountain angling away slightly. So there's a slight reduction further there mathematically, but it's that 900 foot that you apply then at 50 miles for what your angular size should be on a ball.
And you could take the mountains themselves. There's one over the left there where you would probably be able to, if you really wanted to get specific about it, you could probably be able to point out 900 foot of the mountain, and you would find out that only comes down power from the top down a little bit of the way.
So, it's the claim that Ranty's making, or Katz or whoever, is the claim that the mountain is too low for the height of the tower? Is that what they're saying? The relative height of the mountains compared to the relative height of the tower?
Yeah.
So this then brings into another issue, because like all this math so far are not really taking into account the effects of refraction that they always argue, which is the infinitely variable amount that always makes it back to a sphere because they just slide it up a little bit more. But we know that when those mountains at 2,600 feet or whatever, when them light rays are coming from the tops of them mountains into the camera's lens, it's going down into a density gradient, right? And we know that when light goes down into a density gradient, it does curve, right? It's not parallel, it's not horizontal light there that's going through an infinitely variable thing. It is going to be curving down because it's going into a more dense medium from that angle. It is going to start distorting and it's going to curve it down. The observer would appear to see the mountains lower than what they actually are. I think Ranty calls it compression. That you are going to see those things squashed anyway. So they're not actual observations of actual mountains. They're apparent observations of apparent mountains, because the light coming into your eye is being subjected to the effects of the atmosphere that we're looking through. So all of the maths that we're just talking about doesn't even consider the effects of the air that we're looking through. It's just all assumed. I wonder, I'll tell you what's interesting there. I wonder whether see where the ice blast is, the toothpick in the middle. That mountain that's behind it, the one that's in the very, very distance. I wonder what that mountain is, because I've got a feeling that's even further back, because that looks like it's the furthest one back of all of them. Could probably work out which one that is without a bit of research, but I reckon that looks significantly further back than the other two. In fact, I'm going to find it out now. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Why get them to do it? It's their claim. You know, tell us all of the effects that they took into account. We'll dig out the list that Tim Osman presented once with all of the things that Ranty on the whole went out and found out are effects that happen in nature that need to be accounted for, and see if they've accounted for all of them. And if they haven't, go and account for them. Do you remember when we were doing this crap and we were putting the pictures up, and every time we put it up they told us it wasn't good enough, they hadn't calculated for this, they hadn't calculated for that, they hadn't got enough information? Well, now it's our turn. I'm not going to go and calculate a damn thing. Tell us all of the atmospheric conditions that were taken into consideration in the day. Tell us how you've calculated for the reduction in the angle versus the deck, and included the effects that we've shown and Ranty's shown of things getting too small to see at that deck level. Make sure that's all included in your angular calculations.
I've been on the maps and Google Earth, and it's actually 400 foot this observer height from what I can see.
Exactly. Have we had absolute stone cold proof of the observation position? Because we're going to need it measured with a tape measure.
Yeah.
Nathan, read out the super chat.
Hold on, Arwin. Hold on. Is someone getting this down from the globe side? Remember when the tables returned and we were there with tape measures? Ranty was there too. Yes, so Ranty understands the standards that have been set here. You set them, didn't you, fundies? now you're going to be adhering to them. So you better get your wellies on, cats, because you're going to need a tape measure. You're going to get a lot more data about this image. We've got a lot of problems with the amount of information you presented when you claim your little straw man. Meanwhile, your feet and inches value that will be ascribed to this picture absolutely ruins the claim that you're on a globe.
Demand they get on their belly and take the shot, Tony.
Yeah, don't do a damn thing, Anthony. Demand they do it. And until they do, we'll disregard it out of hand as utter horse crap without enough information.
Well, even the 19-foot observer height is coming from them, not from the original photographer. They're just taking it off around the area of the car park.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that sounds very vague, Cats. You're going to need to get out there with a tape measure, mate. Yeah, I want to see pictures and proof that you're there with a tape measure, and we'll scrutinise that indefinitely too. So you need to get out, get your wellies on, get some more data.
Survey and Google as well, and then if
Right,
it's a differential, we've got to discuss that.
2 points to point out about taking the height from Google. When I did that for the Island Man thing, I got absolutely slated for 35 feet because I didn't measure it and I didn't know how high I was. I just took it from Google, and which is what they've done. That assumes that the tide's at a certain point, and you have no idea where the tide would have been. But the second point is that mountain behind the toothpick in the middle between the roller coaster and the tower. That's Scafell Pike. That's the highest mountain in England. Now, the distance to that, according to this, is, let me just flick this back to miles. That's 56 miles, and that's tallest mountain as well. And I'm wondering, if they were to do maths on that one as well, relative to these other two mountains, I bet that wouldn't support a globe Earth because that's further back as well. There's another 6 miles of accumulated drop there that I bet is not shown in this footage, bearing in mind that none of it should be seen anyway. So there's something for you guys to stick in your pipe and smoke as well.
Yeah, we're going to need a lot more data. So, yeah, till then, we're just going to disregard it out of hand. Google Earth, it's not even their photo. They didn't even take it to measure where they got the picture from. My God, they just went to Google Earth. Oh, don't you know the rules, Cats? Yeah, you came along after that, didn't you? Yeah, no worries. Well, we've got plenty of standards that have been set down by your own side, Cats, and they're going to be coming your way in spades.
Wait, hold up. This wasn't an observation taken by one of these clowns?
No.
No, of course not.
I got called Jackson.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Nathan,
It's like the olden days. They found a picture.
Just one at a time. Chocolate's talking. Hello?
What?
Sorry, Nathan?
Chocolate was in the middle of a sentence.
No, I just was. I didn't hear that. I've been at work busy, so I've been listening halfway. But I didn't realize until just now. This is not even. I thought this was something Randy took or Cats or somebody. I didn't know this was just some random shit.
By Bev's son, is my understanding. Bev on the level, they go out taking pictures, and this is a picture taken by his son.
No, not this one, Adam. It's a second photograph, I think, taken by Bev's son, and it kind of half matches it or whatever. And that's the one that's taken by Bev's son. But I don't think that looks like 19 feet elevation height. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't either, Brian. I second that. I don't think that looks like 19 feet. What a joke. Yeah. Where's the tape measurement?
They said they were going as low as they could in favor of the flat Earth.
Opens up a ball for him, doesn't it? And that looks a lot lower.
Yeah, a lot lower. Gonna need more accurate data.
Proof.
There are two pictures.
So did this random picture bring back the physicality of the geometric horizon that we've never seen, can't see, due to us having an atmosphere? Did any of that happen after this picture was taken?
No.
Or no? Oh, okay. Just checking.
So, Nathan, are you going to read that super chat now before it's out of sight?
Yes, I am, before we round out. Thank you, Arwin. Hadn't forgotten. Go on, but guys, says James Richard. You can tell it's curved because it looks so flat.
Thought it was brilliant.
Anyone want the last word? Go on. Was it Harp? Go ahead.
Yeah, there are two pictures, right? So I put that again into the live stream. Someone wants to grab that. You can tell that there's water, and you can tell what the tide is because you can see the water. So you can see the clear picture is low tide, And then that second picture, which looks kind of like a black swan style, is high tide. You can see that. So I put that in there, and it says Ranty says there is substantial drop shown by the mountains. You'll see that.
With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you first and foremost to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. As I say, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a massive thank you to all of you tuned in, smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, or joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Stay tuned again if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!